Hello again. I'm Steve Longo, and I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Rock and Roll Show and Tell, coming to you from the No Gloom Ballroom. It's time for part 2 of my chat with Triumph guitarist and vocalist Rik Emmett. Stick around and hear what the Canadian rocker has to say after this word from our sponsor. Most of you know I live in Southwest Florida now, and one of my favorite places to grab a bite to eat is Jason's Deli. Scott and Diana Willis have been in business here for over 20 years. The truth is, Jason's Deli has bigger choices of better food. You can eat healthy and enjoy the taste of quality ingredients. They're open 7 days a week for dine-in, pick-up, or deli delivery. With 4 convenient locations from Naples to Cape Coral, Florida, they are a must-try. Jason's Deli, where all good things come from wholesome ingredients. Here we go with part 2, Rik Emmett.
But that was my Kenny Rogers look, by the way. My kids said, "Dad, you look like Papa Smurf," and my wife said, "You know, Rick, happy wife, happy life. I think it's time to shave, you know."
Yeah, you got to know when to grow them, know when to shave them. Listen, I liked playing around. I had a beard once, I did that thing. It was, only I went outside. See, I think you took advantage of COVID and grew it. My hair has been like this for the past 20, I don't even know how many years. And it was a year, more than a year, I didn't get my hair cut. And then I finally got brave enough to sneak out to one guy who is the guy who does it with the claws on his, that guy, if you've ever seen him.
Edward Scissors Hands?
Pretty close. It's his brother. It's his brother.
They're shorter claws.
Yeah, they're short. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Valentino. And I called up my bass player. I said, "Larry, I really need a haircut. I don't want to go back to the other salon because there's too many people there. Where can I go?" He said, "Go to Valentino. He'll see you privately, make an appointment, blah, blah, blah." And so I think, all right, well, let me look. If he cuts Larry's hair, how bad could it be, right? And I look and I see the video of this guy who's got like finger picks on every finger, only they're blades. I swear, when you get it, just go look up, they're called the claws. So look up Valentino, like the designer.
Okay.
Yeah, and the claws, and you'll see this. He's flipping your hair. I was surprised he didn't cut her ear off.
But he said he did it blindfolded on television.
Yeah, and I'm saying I don't need to. I don't want that.
No, not blindfolded.
So yeah,
looks pretty good, Steve.
Yeah, it's pretty even.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be afraid I might lose an earlobe or something.
I know, but no.
Let me tell you what, it was actually amazing. I mean, to be honest with you, the whole reason for me doing this show, out of being the chairman of the board, BORED, was to learn new things and I love new stuff. I love new music. I love new musicians. And when I originally started out doing the show, nobody wants to hear me play drums to, songs. I mean, I could do that, but why? And if they want to hear that, there's plenty of it out there. So I thought one of my favorite things, and I'm going to think that it was the same for you being a Canadian band, one of my favorite things about touring, about being out there for months at a time, was running into people that you knew from 10 years ago in some club somewhere. And I love those, and this is one of those conversations. This is you and me. We're both playing the US Festival, and we're hanging out in catering, and this is the conversation. "Hey, I heard you wrote a book." "Yeah, and there we go." And so that was really, and I wanted to do the comfortable background because, gold records are not, I like it out here in space. It's peaceful. There's,
Great. All right.
The book is available now for people to purchase.
Yeah, is it published, the book? Is it out?
Yeah. It should be in bookstores starting the 14th, but of course they can order it from Amazon anytime they want now and get it delivered. But ECW and I feel like we'd like to you encourage people to go to their local bookstores and buy a hard copy. If you buy a hard copy, you can get the ebook anyways. I will say this, though. If you buy the audio book, you get the 2 songs, because I recorded those.
Those 2 songs?
Yeah, well, Born to Pay, and there's another one called World of Song. So those 2, and plus I played little jazz guitar things to kind of get from one section to another in the audio book. So there's like 7 or 8 of those that are kind of little treats that are part of the audio book. So it's not like I gave up my music in order to become a poet. I kind of went, all right, I'm going to make a transition here.
Of course not, man. I mean, I never thought that. I had been doing art forever. When I moved from New York down to Florida, 17 years ago, that's just started to happen. And then I decided to do the fashion line based on it. And, everything has its season. Doesn't mean I don't play my drums every day. And to that point, did Angus tell you about Pass the Peas?
No.
Oh.
Go ahead. I did find out there's 5 questions that I had to think about.
Yeah, that's just the fun part at the end.
Yeah, that's coming at the end, right?
Yeah, Pass the Peas is coming now. What Pass the Peas is I'm sitting here and I have I will show you. I can show you. I can do this. I have this.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm thinking to myself, what can I do with this? My stuff is mic'd up. I mean, it doesn't get better. I can move the microns to get the perfect sound. So what I did is I laid drum tracks. All kinds of drum tracks, Latin tracks, funk tracks, because I consider myself to be a pretty well-rounded player. And then I sent one to Booker King, bass player from New York, and he plays with everybody, and he slapped it right back at me. So then we sent it to Tony Bruno, who put guitar on it, and these songs just keep going around. So if you're interested in getting some peas passed your way, I'll send you.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, it's exactly, and you can, it's just fun. It's just meant to be.
He passed the piece to Steve Stevens to put guitar on, and he finished the thing. Yeah,
I had, Billy Idol's guitar player, Steve Stevens.
Of course, yes.
We grew up, we came up at the same time. We used to sneak him in to see our band when he was underage, 16. But I passed him the peas. He passed them back finished. He played everything. It was like, wow.
Just no vocals. Yeah.
No vocals. So, and you're welcome to.
Vocals.
Yeah, please, vocals, lyrics. You know anybody that writes lyrics? Maybe.
I did a project just recently for a company called Cleopatra Records, and they were doing a tribute album for Pink Floyd, and I got to sing Wish You Were Here. Joe Satriani played guitar. Carmen Appice played drums.
Oh, yeah, I know those guys.
Yeah. So that was kind of fun. But it was, again, one of these COVID projects, a kind of a Pass the Peas thing where, I went into a studio with a friend of mine and he engineered and I did the vocals and we sent them back. And, that's out in the marketplace now. So I've been on an album with Joe Satriani and Carmen. I never get to meet them. I wasn't in the same room. But it was a Pass the Peas project.
Well, for this, you see, the reason I wanted to do it this way, it's linear jamming. Because you, as a drummer, if you and I are in the room, right, you walk into the live room and I'm behind the drums and I start playing a shuffle, you're playing whatever, if I break into, 5/4 or I do whatever, you're going to follow me. So in that way, it's very much like a linear jam. There's nobody telling you what to play, what not to play, when, it's just open. And then wherever you send it, the only thing that dictates what they play is what you and I played before it got there. So it's very, it's very responsive, I thought. Maybe.
Yeah, well, I think it's a great idea. I just saw an interview with a guy named Rik Beato, has this amazing, great thing that's on the internet, and he's a great teacher. And he did an interview with Pat Metheny, who's one of my favorite musicians.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of drummers, Pat at one point he said, "Look, I tell this to musicians all the time and music students when I do workshops and things. Whoever is controlling the money and booking the tour, that's obviously the band leader. He goes, but when you get on stage, I tell everybody this is the truth of the matter. The drummer is always the leader. Once you're on stage, the drummer is the band leader, and you must follow what the drummer lays down for you, because that's how it works. And I saw that the same week that Charlie Watts passed away, and so there was a lot of talk about drummers, floating around in the air. But I've always said that it's like during sound checks, I would often say to my other musicians, "No, you got to get more hi-hat in your monitor because you got to be listening to where he's taking us." And so, like guys turn the kick up, I go, yeah, the kick is good, but you got to have the hi-hat too. The hi-hat's the thing. And that was one of the things that was in that Count Me In show where the guy said, hi-hat. And he was doing a little, the Iron Maiden guy was doing the ticky-tacky.
Yeah, Nico, yeah.
Yes, that is what I've always tried to tell people. That's the truth of it.
Well, Stuart Copeland, same thing. I mean, that guy has, he's famous for his hi-hat work.
Yes, yeah.
So, and everybody did a good job. I certainly don't mean to rag at it. No. It's just I was expecting I wanted to learn something. You know what I mean? And sure. if I see one more roadie take one more chrome drum stand out of a road case, that's.
We watched the poll.
Yeah, but I think. Yeah, your point is well taken. That it's Netflix, and so they're looking for a wider audience. My wife enjoyed it. Usually when I watch musician-oriented kinds of documentaries, she's going like, "This is like, can't we watch the next episode of Baba Voss, Game of Thrones? Like whatever. Like, and I get it. Like and of course for me, I've always sort of had that thing about music for its own purpose, music for its own reasons, as opposed to, hey, music so that I can sell a lot of records, or music so that I can, sell a lot of tickets. It's like, no, which is why Pat Metheny is one of my favorites, because he always only ever did it for the right reasons,
Well, yeah, I mean, that's, when I first heard about it, and when I first got into it and first dictated that I would do this thing, I didn't know anything about tickets, girls, drugs, I didn't know anything about any of it.
But apparently you've learned a lot about drugs.
Well, I like to study. I do study. I learned a little bit about money, too. I collect. I have the whole set. But, please, we're going to segue. Oh, no, sorry.
You need a little... Yeah.
So, yeah, it's that's my world. The question. So, the other thing is, this is the other thing. On Friday nights, we do this thing called Free for All Friday. And the same Zoom key that you use to get into this, you can come into that at the same time, 7 to... You're in Canada still now?
I am.
Ontario, yeah. Different time zone or no? Eastern?
Well, where are you, down in Florida?
I'm in Eastern. I'm in Fort Myers.
Yeah,
on the west coast.
That's the same as I'm in Toronto. So
Same
time zone. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So
on Friday, the Triumph documentary is being launched at the Toronto International Film Festival. So I'm not around at 7:00. I'm going to be doing the schmooze and dressed in a jacket and trying to look nice for the red carpet, and because that's finally, it took 2 years for Banger Films to get that one to the public, but it's finally going to happen. And
I'll tell you something interesting. Is it using the US Festival footage?
It probably, it uses little bits of all kinds of stuff. For sure it uses some of that. Yeah, like that footage that you see. Like, we were the only people that took advantage of all of this footage that sat in a warehouse in California after the event, and we went to. Steve, who's the guy from Apple? Steve
Wozniak.
And we went, Wozniak, can we access the footage? He said, oh yeah, sure, take whatever you want. And we were the only people that did. Of course, it was 1983. Nobody had really gotten to this idea yet.
Right, it hadn't blossomed yet.
Yeah.
Well, I made a a documentary film on the life of John Entwistle, which we started making when he was alive, as just for fun, and then long story short. But I with the guy that I co-produced it with, said, I'm coming to Florida, I'm going over across to Fort Lauderdale. A guy has a storage locker or whatever, giant, with all the US Festival tapes. The Police, he's got, and the stuff we watched that day, I was like, and it's all on those, the big, what it,
Yep.
And I said, you're going to buy this? To the guy I was with, he said, well, if he's selling it, I'm going to buy it. I said, you'll never clear this stuff. I don't know, but I saw a lot of that. It was incredible. Yeah,
it really was. And it was just sitting around. Nobody was doing anything with it. Now, part of that, too, was that some of the people go, yeah, we didn't have the greatest night. We'd been smoking a little of the stuff back in the compound.
From the drum guys.
Yeah. Okay, get to the questions. Come on.
Okay, here they come. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You're on tour. Here and there, up and down. Favorite place when you're going to this spot on the globe you can't wait to eat at? Favorite restaurant on the road?
Okay. First of all, I'm gonna morph your question a little bit, because a lot of times when I would be on the road, the food was going to be brought to the dressing room, between sound check and gig. So what places had the best, backstage catering? And in the last stages of my career, I was doing a lot of duo shows. I was out playing with another guitar player, Dave Dunlop. And Dave was much more of a foodie than I was. But we would play these places. They were called city wineries, and they had very good menus. And they would let you sort of pick whatever you wanted off the menu. So the food there was good. But and there was another place we played. I'm going to mention this one just to give them a plug. And it was called, the Infinity Music Hall in Norfolk. And they had a really great menu, and it was a great gig to play. It was a really nice venue. But the best was the Cleveland Music Box Supper Club. And their menu was the best food, and they were the nicest people. And that was the gourmet experience. So if anybody's ever in Cleveland, you got to go to the Music Box Supper Club, because the food there is very, very good. Never mind.
So we're going to put that down as your answer.
Yeah.
Okay, no, but wait. Okay, that's fine. But now I have a story I'm going to tell you, which is a great rock and roll story, and I know that's why I'm on this show, because that's what it's like rock and roll storytellers in outer space. Okay, so we signed with Universal around 1984, 85. They were MCA at the time, but they turned into Universal, the record company that owned the world. And Irving Azoff was the president. And we were getting treated really, really nice. And so when we were in Chicago, the local guy said, we got to go to Maxim's. Now, I don't know if you know about Maxim's, but it's in the basement of the something Towers. Wait, I wrote it down just so that I wouldn't forget. The Astor Towers.
Astor Towers, yeah.
Yeah, which is as high-end gets, okay? We weren't staying there, but the rep took us there. And I had swordfish, and it was, one of the most amazing meals I'd ever had, and it's an amazing restaurant. But the reason I'm raising this is because Maxim's is the place where Joe Walsh one night decided to go with John Belushi. And there's many, many stories, that have circulated over the years about this. But they won't let you in unless you got a jacket and a tie, and you can't wear jeans. And these two rock and roll freaks show up in their jeans, and they want in. And they go, no, I'm sorry, sir, you can't come in. And so they apparently spray painted their pants.
Yes,
they went
I heard that. Yep.
Yeah, spray painted their pants so they could get back in. And that was just the beginning of the destruction, because eventually they ended up in the hotel, in the room, Astor Towers, and they trashed the room in spectacular fashion. A grand piano might have been pushed off a balcony. I can't say that one for sure, but Irving said that it was the worst destruction that Joe had ever done. But of course, in Irving's mind and in Joe's mind, the worst would be the best.
Well, right. The stuff of legends. That's.
I got accountants to pay for it all.
Yeah.
I know more than a little bit about Joe. I spent a week with him one night.
And Keith Moon, there would have been some.
Right. Yeah. Well, all right. Here, we'll just do this a little behind the scenes stuff that you might not know. When Joe was Crazy Joe, he was going out with a girl who, for all intents and purposes, was Crazy Lisa. And when Joe decided to straighten out, he decided that he could not be with Crazy Lisa anymore. So Entwistle got her.
Oh, yeah. She lived with him for 10 years.
While you were working with him?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have to read that book.
Yes.
You want to read a book, read that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, man. I mean, let me tell you what. If there weren't a million people watching, I could tell you stories that would...
But she's dead now, too.
You can't get clearance for those, Steve.
Well, yeah. There's a book. It's
you
all
have
right.
to be careful. You have to give them a pseudonym. Write a poem.
I actually... you don't want to know what... That's... I'm going to move on with the questionnaire now, Rick. And very interesting. I don't know how many of the fans out there, there's so many things that in our careers, yours and mine, that parallel each other. Your first album comes out, they misspell your first name, and you decide to keep that spelling, right?
Yeah.
Do you know Leslie West? You know Leslie, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I knew Leslie, yes.
Leslie, yeah, R.I.P. Leslie calls me up and he says, Steve, I want you to play on my album. I said, when? In an hour. So I go and I do the album with him. The album comes out and my name is misspelled. He's got the U behind the O. So it's Longo. And he's telling me, just change it. It'll be better anyway. So you should just change. I told Corky Lang the same thing. I said, Corky, no one's going to spell this ridiculous thing. Change it.
Your Leslie impression is quite good.
Oh,
I played the NAMM show, and Leslie was part of the Dean Guitars thing that I had been a part of, and so he had my contact information. And then one day, out of the blue, like 6 months after that, I get a phone call. And it's his voice. He goes, "Hey, Rick." I go, "Hey," and he goes, "It's Leslie." I go, "Yeah, how you doing?" He goes, "Listen, I'm cracked a wisdom tooth. I go, "Leslie, this is Rik Emmett, the guitar player." He goes, "Oh fuck, I thought you were Rick, my dentist." So he picked the wrong Rick from his call list.
Eddie Money.
That's what Eddie Money did the same thing.
Yeah.
Eddie.
Well, it was to Steve Longo.
Eddie. I don't know if you know Access TV. It's the rock channel.
Yeah.
Eddie had 2 seasons of a show on there, and out of nowhere he calls me up, and he says, Stevie Longo, is this the incredible drummer or the gay producer?
Oprah's great.
Or Oprah's great.
Yeah.
And I said, Stevie, it's like, is this the incredible drummer or Oprah's gay producer? And I said, well, I really hope it's the incredible drummer, 'cause I don't know Oprah.
Oh, man.
And it turns out that the guy that produced his show for Access was also Steve Longo. But
there you go.
Hey, producer.
Yeah. So I love playing with Eddie.
Longo.
No. See, and I don't do the lounge thing. So why would I call myself that?
Yeah, of course. No, I get it.
All
right. Question number 2. Come on, let's go.
Okay, number 2. Here it comes. Oh, I don't want to go into OT in Canada. All right. Set list comes out. Oh, man. Favorite song to play live?
I always used it to close my shows solo. Suitcase Blues from the Just a Game album. It was the most it should have never been on a rock record because it was a jazz tune. but it was always my favorite. But there's two other favorites I'm going to mention. One of them was I used to love to play in Triumph when we'd get to fight the good fight. It was always the encore song, and it was the end of the night. So I loved that song because you could give it everything you had, because you didn't have to save anything anymore. The set was going to be over. So I loved that feeling. And of course the crowd, the encore tune, and plus it was like, the raise your fist, the idea behind the song was like a banner, So I loved that one, was the unfurling of the flag. And then the one that I loved to play when I was in duos with Dave Dunlop, always had it on the set list, was an instrumental called Three Clouds, just because we could both blow our brains out and kick each other's ass. It was great.
That's cool. Okay, good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so now this next one, the set list comes out. And this, I'm not so happy to see this song. I don't ever want to play this song again. What's that song?
That song's called State of Grace. And the reason I could never do it anymore was because we played it at my brother's funeral. And once that had happened, I went, I'm never going to be able to sing this and get through it. Like, I'm never going to be able to find that place inside myself where I can bring it, where I can deliver it. So I retired the song from the set list, and I'll never play it again.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So guitar, maybe a little drums, this and that. If you could absolutely shred at another instrument other than your own, and that includes vocals, what would it be?
I would be a piano player, no question about it.
Okay.
Because to me, the piano is the best of all instruments, because there's 88 notes laid out there, and you can be an orchestra if you know what you're doing. You can, this is a little known fact about Metheny, but Pat can play keyboards very, very good, and that's what he composes on. Lyle Mays, who was his, second in command in the Pat Metheny group, Lyle can play guitar really, really well. So what a marriage made in heaven, that you got a keyboard player that can play guitar and a guitar player that can play keyboard, and they can sit down with an Oberheim, both of them, and go, yeah. How about this? Well, what about this voicing, Pat? And he's going, yeah, that sits nice on the guitar. Yeah, that would have been, keyboard would have been my thing. But when I was in music college, I almost flunked introductory keyboard. I'm so left-handed. I play guitar right-handed, but I'm so left-handed that I couldn't get both hands going at the same time on a piano keyboard. I just couldn't do it.
So you play guitar right? I mean, I saw that. I would have noticed, because I'm, wow. But you're left-handed in life?
Yeah. I do things of strength with my left hand. Like if I was going to throw a baseball, I'd throw with my left hand. If I was going to hammer a nail, I'd hammer with my left. But when I write my name, I write with my right. When I pick up a fork, I eat with my right. So it's called dextro-sinistral. It's not ambidextrous.
Right.
I'm left hand strong, right hand fine control. And in fact, I'm going to show you something here. When you see guitar players and they pick like this, their right hand is kind of like this.
Right.
Eric Johnson, for example, he's a right-handed guy. When you see a guy like this, like me, Eddie Van Halen, Steve Morse, probably left hand strong on the fretboard, gives you a big advantage here, disadvantage here, but you turn your hand and you kind of pick like this,
And what is that called? It's not ambidextrous. It's what?
Dextro-sinistral.
Sinistral. Dextro.
Yeah, like dextros is
dextro, right.
Is right, and sinistra is left. So if you're the other way around, if you did things to strength with your right hand and fine motor control with your left, you'd be sinistro-dextral.
Oh, okay. So it's left, right, left. Because I, as a drummer, I play right-handed, but when I play double bass, I play it the way a lefty would play it.
Yeah.
In that direction.
So you get some. I think it's wiring between the hemispheres of the brain. That's my theory. I'm pretty sure it's probably right, because there's been people that have had brain damage and then they lose the ability on the other side of their. So I think it's the way your brain's wired, but
and I can do it the other way around, but I don't want to, and I know you know what I mean.
Yeah, can you play some keyboards at all?
Oh yeah.
Which
I grew
hand
up
is
with
better? Are you
right-handed? My right hand is better.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. No, I'm absolutely righty in the world, but there are certain things that my left hand does that my right hand can't do. And like I said, when I'm playing, I'm like lefty-footed or whatever that means.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. So moving right along. So piano, good one. Good one. This is the coup de grace.
Yep.
If you could play one show with anybody, living or dead, who would it be?
I would want to go back between 1987 and 1995 so that I could sit in with the Pat Metheny group during that period.
Wow. That's post-Jocko, right?
Oh, yeah. Way past. It might even have been past Steve Rodby touring with the band. But Lyle was still in it. And there was a Canadian guy singing with him named David Blaemeyers. And those have sort of always been kind of my favorite albums. There was Still Life Talking is where it started, that era of the group. And it sort of ended with an album called We Live Here, which was a real departure for them. They did shit to drum loops and they were writing songs based on, well, this is, I loved Earth, Wind and Fire when I was a kid, so I'm going to have a tune that's kind of Earth, Wind and Fiery. Or, we really loved the Miles Davis kind of blues stuff, so we're going to have a tune that's kind of based on that vibe. So I always loved that record because it was like musicians going, I live here. Here's the roadmap of who I am and how I got here. So that music to me was always something just extra special. And I know, like, as a musician, you probably have a deep respect for, like, say, the Steely Dan Asia album, right? Like, there's albums like that.
Sure.
And everybody's got them. But there's a couple of those Pat Metheny ones through that time period where I would have given anything to sit in with that band. I wouldn't have had to play the whole set because I wouldn't have been able to cut it, but just a couple of them that I could handle.
Yeah. Well, listen, this is your dream here, so you would be able to cut it.
Yeah.
and because it's your dream, you could even play piano on some songs. There's nothing outside of, I'm telling you, I'm out here. I feel like anything's possible.
All right. Beautiful.
You've been great, man. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm gonna pass you some peas. You're welcome any Friday.
Have a great time Friday night.
Yeah, and congratulations on your documentary. Let's catch up about that. And man, all good things. And again, let me push the book. Well, you know what? I'll let you go, and I'll push the book, and we'll post the link.
All right. Have fun in the capsule with the dog. I hope you're
it's great. Believe me, it's good out here. Have fun. I'll talk soon.
See you. Take care.
Take care. All right.
This podcast is brought to you by Jason's Deli, with 4 convenient locations from Naples to Cape Coral, Florida. They are a must-try. Jason's Deli, where all good things come from wholesome ingredients. And Bradley's Jewelers of South Fort Myers. They specialize in amazing moments. Bradley's Jewelers. Stop by and say hello to Brad and Colby. And we'll see you next week right here on the podcast from the No Gloom Ballroom. It's rock and roll show and tell.